Greetings to everyone. Greetings to my people. Today is Christmas Day. Is the 25th, of December 2022. And Merry Christmas to those who are enjoying your Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. As always, we didn't want to miss out on this because of the Christmas that is going on. So we didn't want to miss out our presentation. So nevertheless, we will go ahead with our weekly, update, weekly roundup update from across the African continent and in the in the African world. That means people of African descent, definitely, when I'm talking about the African world. So there is a lot of events that have been happening, many events which happened even last week. Some of them are very important that we will touch on them because they crossed onto into this week which we are in. And so without delay, let me give you a little bit of summary of what, went on this week. This week, as it was, commencing, as it was started, and starting, there was an attempted coup in countries like Gambia, which was very unfortunate, and we will talk a little bit more about it. Morocco returned home to a triumphant reception as a representative, remaining representative of the African continent in the World Cup. Even though they did not win, but they came back and we received them because of the achievement, which because of what they were achieved, what they were able to achieve during this World Cup. They went up to the semifinals, so which is very very good out there, and they played to the end. So we have had also that Morocco issue is one of the events which spilled over into this week, and we had also the US Africa Summit, which was closed last week. It was the one which was buzzing all through last week. It was the US Africa Summit. So we will look briefly upon it, but we have had an extensive analysis of it on one of my sisters' channel called Connect Africa, and a lot of people are commenting out there. The videos are buzzing, so you need to go out there and search for Connect Africa on YouTube and find out what we have said about the US Africa Summit. A lot of people are commenting, incredible conversations are going on because there is expectations. There is wins and losses from this summit, and on this channel actually I'm going to do an extensive analysis which is going to look at what were our expectations from this summit, what are our wins and what are our losses. So that is the US Africa Summit. And then President Ramaphosa also was able to be re-elected as the the president and the chairperson, leader of the African National Congress in South Africa, which is interesting. Also, we will look at that. That is very, very important because in the past, South Africa has been playing a very important role on the African continent, a very important leadership role on the African continent. So we will look at the fact that President Ramaphosa has been re-elected as the chairman and chairperson of the ANC, and hence the president who is going to campaign for ANC to come back to power in 2024. And then we have had central banks, especially in West Africa, have been capping money withdrawals, of the citizens, places like Nigeria, Ghana. So we'll look at that and why they are keeping money withdrawal on mobile money and at ATMs. So they are limiting how much can be withdrawn. The Ethiopia peace agreement also has been accelerated. The implementation of the peace agreement has gone on to be accelerated. and those negotiations have gone on in Kenya, and that is a very good thing. We trust that everything will calm down, everything will be good, everything will be well. Ghana also decided to repair its, decided to repair its relationship with Burkina Faso, because we know that a lot of comments were made, and so at the US Africa Summit by the Ghanaian president, and he has decided to repair that relationship. So we will look at that also. And then the Dangote oil refinery, also is almost finished. 97%, or only remaining 3%. And this is a refinery which they say is going to help, Nigeria to wean itself off importing refined petroleum products. We know that that it's going to do a big contribution, because it's going to produce almost up to more than 650,000 barrels per day of oil, of refined oil, which is a very big win for not only Nigeria, but West Africa and all the African continent. This is a very, very big win. The East African Court of Justice also was able to block and strike down a trade deal which was reached between the United States and Kenya, a trade deal which was reached between Kenya and the United States. The East African Court of Justice, which is an organ of the East African community, was able to strike down a deal which was reached between Kenya and the United States. And we are going to go deep into understanding this situation. We will go deep into understanding this situation. Without further delay, let us get straight into it. Let us get straight into this situation. Yes, right away. Let us get into this situation. Yes, so in Gambia, which we said that we are going to start with Gambia, there was an attempted coup on the government in the Gambia. A certain group of people, they said about 5 of them have been arrested, and investigations are still going on. Certain individuals had attempted to overthrow the government in the Gambia. But those individuals have been apprehended. They have been apprehended, and investigations are still going on. So this says that the Gambian government, or the government in Gambia, announced on Wednesday having foiled an attempted coup. According to the statement released by the authorities, 4 soldiers who tried to overthrow President Adama Barrow's government had been arrested. They had been arrested. The situation is now totally under control. According to the statement that added, the army was trying to locate another 3 accomplices involved in the attempted coup. Why is this really news? It is news because in the past, in the West African region, we see that there has been a lot of instability. We have had coups in Mali, repeated coups. We have had coups in Burkina Faso. We have had coups in Guinea-Bissau. We have had another attempted coup actually in the past in Guinea-Conakry. Guinea-Conakry, we had a coup in Guinea-Conakry, and we had another attempted coup in Guinea-Bissau. And so I think this is where this becomes, news. But why are these coups happening in the region? There is a couple of reasons, definitely, which we can look at. Many people have been saying coups are bad, coups are this and that. But I would not like to look at these coups only on the side of them being bad alone, because to a certain extent, in places like Mali, Burkina Faso, and all those places which we know, all of us Africans know, that France is there and is dominating the place and is colonizing our people. As people have gotten tired of France's colonialism in this side, because it is supporting certain groups of people, certain leaders who call themselves president, and they have gone on to oppress our people, all over. And so in certain places, these coups actually have not been entirely, negative. Not that they are desirable, but if they are there, those coups are there to liberate our people from foreign domination and neocolonialism, which is going on even today, that we still have more than 14 countries still paying colonial tax to France, which is responsible for printing their currency in West Africa. Then these coups, I believe, they should be very much welcomed. So we should not just latch on immediately on condemning these coups, but we should rather examine what is the source, of these coups. Where are they coming from? Where are these coups really coming from? I think this is very, very important. My name is Kwame Gonza. As you know, the channel is called Africa Reimagined, and I want to request you to subscribe to the channel and share the channel with other people. This will strengthen us. And on top of that, I want to request you to check into the description. We have some petitions that are supposed to be signed by all Africans. Each individual African should be able to sign these petitions, because we want to push for a single passport across the African continent. We are pushing for a single African military, and we are pushing for a single African government. All these petitions have been supported by the PLO Lumumba Foundation. They have been supported by Dr. Edmund Folfak, from Ohio State University Medical Center. They have been supported by Sister Shanice, the famous Sister Shanice. They have been supported by Dr. Susan, Pan-African Daily TV. So you need to go out there and sign those petitions. Just check within the description area. You get those 3 petitions, go out there and sign them and energize us so that we can push to the front. Another petition is coming up, which we'll talk about. That petition will talk about the bill which passed in the United States Congress and is about to go to the Senate. I don't know whether it has gone to the Senate yet. The bill is called HR 7311, and that next petition, which we are going to sign in the future, that have not yet placed, is going to be against that bill. We are campaigning against that bill because it is a bill which interferes in the foreign, in the sovereignty of the African continent and the African people and how we manage our affairs. While the United States on one side is claiming that it wants to work with Africans as equal partners, on the other side, it is interfering in Africa's affairs and how Africans we conduct our affairs. I would like to also remind you that this program and this weekly update is brought to you by Full Moon Holdings. Full Moon Holdings is a company which is present in Ghana in the sale of electric cars, online shopping, and it also operates an entertainment, a subsidiary called Full Moon Entertainment Inc. that is responsible for translating foreign movies into the local language too. So go out there. The website is already on the screen. The numbers are on the screen. They sell electric cars in the West African region, and they offer also engineering services, welding, and fabrication and solar energy, windows, fabrication of windows, doors, steel doors, roof trusses. All that is done and the solar energy. So call them, reach out to their website, which is already indicated on the scroller down here on the screen. And wherever you are in Ghana, if you are a foreign person who is in Ghana and the West African region, give them a call and talk to them they will be able to help you and give you friendly services and at friendly prices. Let us go to update number 2. We have already finished speaking about the situation, in Gambia, and it's very good that the government was able to foil that coup that was going to happen in Gambia, and we thank the government for foiling that coup. We congratulate them, but more so, importantly, the government needs to achieve and needs to give people their expectations. It needs to deliver on the expectations, aspirations of the African people by giving them all the services, for which the government was elected, all the services for which the government was elected. Update number 2, we have a situation in Morocco. We spoke about it. Morocco was given a hero's welcome. Morocco, the team, was given a hero's welcome. Definitely, Morocco returns home. A hero's welcome for Morocco upon returning home. Yes, the history-making Moroccan football team were welcomed as heroes when they arrived in Rabat on Tuesday after a remarkable FIFA World Cup campaign in Qatar. Thousands of fans welcomed the stars back as they held an open bus parade across the Moroccan capital after achieving what no other African nation has ever achieved, the 4th place. They reached the 4th place at the African, at the World Cup. The Atlas Lions, the Moroccan team is called the Atlas Lions, did the continent of Africa, immensely proud, reaching the semi-final stage of the tournament and defeating the likes of Belgium, Portugal, and Spain to get there. King Mohammed the Sixth of Morocco said on Monday that the team would be received at the palace to celebrate their historic accomplishment. Yes, that is, incredible. I think Morocco did us really proud as Africans, and we want to celebrate together with the team. It is really, something that is worth celebrating, for us as Africans, that Morocco was able to reach this far. I understand the controversy which is involved, that Morocco, to certain extents, or in some cases, has been referred as Arab and stuff like that. But the coach of the team, the Moroccan coach himself, has been able to mention it, that we represent Africa, we don't represent the Arab world, which is very important. And it's the same thing which we have been mentioning in the past, and saying that all parts of the African continent are African. There's no Middle East in Africa. I think that has to be clear, that even the place where Morocco is, Egypt, Algeria, all those are parts of Africa, even parts actually of the Sinai, even though we know that they have been mentioning that on the other side there's no part of Africa. We know that Egypt goes as far as the Sinai, so Africa crosses all the way, to the other side, and we understand that is Africa. So congratulations to the Moroccan team for doing Africa proud. Congratulations to them. Number 2, we will go to the US Africa Summit. We want to conclude with the US Africa Summit. We want to touch on the US Africa Summit and its conclusions. The US Africa Summit, we know that happened last week, and this summit, from our understanding, achieved certain things. We had expectations as Africans when we were going there. We had our expectations, and whether those expectations were met, only God knows, but it happened. Nevertheless, the summit happened. The US Africa Summit, Leaders Summit, makes a seismic shift in relation with the continent. So these are all the conclusions. These were the conclusions from this website, which you see called the Carnegie Endowment. Carnegie Endowment. So the US Africa Summit, we had our expectations as Africans, and like I said, we have done an extensive overview of this summit, looking at what were our expectations. Has the United States, for example, delivered on the previous summits, which happened under Obama in 2015? Did they deliver on the promises? For example, during that period, around $47 billion was promised, was pledged, but were those pledges really delivered? So those are the details which we went in with my sister on the YouTube channel called Connect Africa, where I said that it is buzzing and people are out there. People are very excited on the conversations which we have had. We did our expectations, and then we did also updates on it, and then we did Roundup, wrap up of the summit. So you need to go out there and check out Connect Africa. We did it with my sister, Mallet. So go out there on the channel and check out what people are commenting, people are talking about, that we came and analyzed for them regarding this summit. So we will not delay very much on it, because we have still many other things to talk about, but that is the US Africa Summit. We had expectations, and those expectations, we have analyzed them in detail. The other thing which we are going to talk about is President Ramaphosa. President Ramaphosa in South Africa, or Ramaphosa. So you will forgive me if you are from South Africa. You are going to forgive me for the pronunciation, but President Ramaphosa was re-elected as the president of ANC. He was re-elected as president of the ANC, or chairperson of the ANC. And so he is going to represent the ANC in the coming elections. President Ramaphosa is going to represent the ANC in the coming elections, which are coming, I think, in 2014. That is when the elections are coming. So President Ramaphosa, congratulations. There's been a lot of controversy within the country in the past, but fortunately, the president was re-elected onto the presidency to represent, he was re-elected to the presidency to represent ANC again at the coming election. President Cyril Ramaphosa has been re-elected as the ANC president for the second term. This comes as results have been announced from the ANC's 55th National Elective Conference at Nasrec. According to Minister of Finance Enoch Gandogwana, the markets have responded positively, which is a good sign to President Ramaphosa's election. To understand this further, on SABC, FMBSC, with Adrian Spearman was in conversation with Enoch. So, which is very important. Very important. President Ramaphosa has been in the past facing a lot of criticism because of his leadership, and they were claiming that he was involved in an alleged corruption charge. But we all know that South Africa has been instrumental in the first place in the past period. When you look at the economic policy of South Africa as a nation. South Africa has really been playing very well for the continent. If you remember very well and you have good memory, the peace negotiations between Ethiopia and the rebels, the TPLF rebels who have been disturbing in the northern part of Ethiopia, was held and hosted by South Africa and President Ramaphosa and his government. We remember that President Ramaphosa and his government also have played a major role in shielding Africa from US influence. They are actually the only country I have heard that has stood against the bill, the United States bill, which passed in the Congress and has gone to the Senate, the bill called HR 7311. That bill is claiming that it is coming to protect Africa, which Africa doesn't need any protection, protecting Africa from Russia. But in the real sense of it, that bill is a racist bill, is an imperialistic and neocolonialistic bill, which is meant to suppress Africa. It is meant to control Africa. It is meant to subjugate Africa. It is meant to colonize Africa. It is a racist bill by the United States, and only South Africa has stood up against it. South Africa has been also very instrumental in protecting and speaking up, and working with the government in Zimbabwe and protecting it against Western sanctions. And if these Western people, these Americans and Europeans and Canadians or whatever, they are the same people who have been carrying out racism across the globe. If they respect us as Africans, then they should cease and listen to us, and they should cease imposing sanctions on Zimbabwe. They should cease interfering in Africa's affairs. They should cease making resolutions in their parliaments. For example, in the European Parliament, talking about the East African oil pipeline, making resolutions and talking about Africa to tell us who should be our friend and who should not be our friend on the African continent. We think that this is very racist as Africans and is uncalled for, and we reject it as Africans, and join us, in standing up together as Africans in campaigning against these racist bills. And they need to respect us as Africans, because the African continent, the African people, are not an extension of the United States. The African continent is not the 51st state of the United States, or is not a country, is not part of Europe. So Europe has no right to pass resolutions on behalf of Africa and talk about African affairs. That is utmost, interference, and it is racist for a group of people that came here and colonized us and killed our people and destroyed our civilizations on the continent. Absolutely racist, and we need to stand together as Africans and resist this. So that bill, South Africa has stood against it. South Africa has also been instrumental in standing up for the African continent, that we should trade our own path and have cooperation with everyone, whether it is China, Russia, and the United States. And the United States should not coerce us as Africans, into choosing or even telling us who to choose, like it has been saying, or offering us who to choose. We think that that is arrogant and racist, because we have our own intelligence. We know who is doing the best for us. So we don't need anyone to tell us and who to choose and who to do business with. If you come to us with good terms of business, we will do business with you. And we find that what South Africa has done to stand up for the African continent is commendable, and all this has been under the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa. And if you are out there, I think that you need to give ANC your vote and President Cyril Ramaphosa and his leadership, because he has been doing very well for the African continent. And now he has been facing a lot of problems at home. I understand that the electricity has been going off in South Africa, a lot of load shedding, unemployment, economy has been growing, but slowly, which is very annoying to the people. But we beg the South African people, for the good of the African continent, they should exercise patience. So that is President Cyril Ramaphosa out there. When we come to the other piece of news, is that the the West African region has been actually experiencing a lot of challenges when it comes to their economies. We looked at Ghana recently. We heard that Ghana has been having a lot of challenges with its, economy. And so we see this situation has also extended to as far as Nigeria. And some of these countries have been capping how much even has to be withdrawn via ATM, as we are seeing here. Nigeria caps ATM withdrawals at 225, $225 dollars weekly to promote CBDC, which is the central bank digital currency of Nigeria. That is the justification, of course, that has been given. But we understand that also in countries like Ghana, they have been keeping, the withdrawal, the currency withdrawal, of the country, of the individuals, of the citizens, due to the financial sector facing a lot of challenges. The economic sector, it is facing a lot of challenges. The banks have been facing a lot of challenges. And so, but Nigeria, for it says that it is doing this in an attempt to push for the use of the central bank's digital currency, the e-Naira, by keeping the amount users can withdraw from ATMs, to $45 a day and $225 a week. If users or businesses, exceed that amount, they have to pay a 5% or 10% fee, respectively, according to a report at the Coin Telegram. The government of Nigeria has struggled to get citizens to adopt it to the, to the e-Naira, which is the digital currency, since its introduction in October 25th, 2021. Currently, less than 0.5% of the population has used the currency. Previously, the maximum daily withdrawal amounts were $338 for individuals and $1,128 for businesses. So this is what is happening on the other side, in Nigeria. The other news also that is important is about Ethiopia. Let us go to Ethiopia. We are moving across the continent. We moved all the way, to the south. We moved to the west. We moved a little bit to the east. We moved to the northern part of the continent. So if you are out there and you are in central part of the continent and you are in part of the, the former, French colonies, you need to reach out here so that we can discuss these issues. And also, if you are in the diaspora and you would like to participate with us and you would like to get involved to update us on what is happening with our people in South America, what is happening with our people in North America, what is happening with our people in Europe, you can reach out to us. Just send a message and I will get back to you. I'll definitely get back to you. I'll definitely get back to you. I will definitely reach out to you. Interesting. So let us go to Ethiopia. We are going to Ethiopia to understand, because there is a peace agreement that is going on, the implementation actually of the peace agreement between Ethiopia and the rebels. This agreement, we understand the agreement was, or we remember, the agreement was brokered by the African Union and led by the African Union envoy, African Union peace envoy, who is President, Obasanjo, and the President Uhuru Kenyatta, and they successfully reached an agreement. They successfully reached an agreement in South Africa, which we mentioned that the agreement was reached in South Africa, and they were able to strike an agreement to stabilize Ethiopia. and that is what is going on. So this week, there has been some further discussions. There has been some further discussions on these issues, and Ethiopia and the Tigray, or officials, they agreed on those modalities to evaluate the peace deal. And the purpose of evaluating the peace deal, as we are seeing President Uhuru Kenyatta here. He has been instrumental in these negotiations and making sure the agreement is being implemented. Let us see the details. Senior commanders from the federal government of Ethiopia and senior representatives of the Tigray People's Liberation Front have agreed on the modalities to be used in evaluating the implementation of the peace deal signed in early November, this year, to end the 2 years of war in the northern part of the conflict. This paves way for the African Union-led team. Not African Union as the team which is leading. The team which is leading was appointed by the African Union, and is not the United States, is not France, is not Europe. And this is what we call African solutions to African problems. So this paves way for the African Union-led team to, in a few days, start monitoring and evaluating the agreement signed in South Africa. As we have mentioned, that South Africa has played a major role in the implementation and in the signing and stabilizing Ethiopia. This was revealed by the African Union high-level panel member and co-facilitator of the ongoing peace efforts, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, in a media briefing in Nairobi. This happened in Nairobi, where Ethiopian military officials from the federal government have been meeting with the TPLF representatives for the last 2 days as part of the is not part of the negotiations, as part of the implementation of the peace agreement. These are not really negotiations. So we want to thank President Uhuru Kenyatta. We want to thank Kenya. We also want to thank the African Union for doing this and reaching this peace agreement. And what we want to do is that we want to encourage the same spirit that is being used in stabilizing Ethiopia, is the same spirit that should be used in stabilizing the Democratic Republic of Congo. We understand even right now that we have some disagreements between the government in Congo and the government in Kigali, okay, the Rwandan government. And so the African Union, if it has decided to stabilize the whole African continent, we ask that it should take the same spirit that was used in stabilizing Ethiopia and bringing the two warring sides to an agreement. Use the same spirit and bring it to bring the same spirit to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and let us bring the two groups that are conflicting, because honestly, the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo is a historical conflict. And we believe that if the African Union is able to stabilize the Democratic Republic of Congo, the other parts of the African continent will be easier to stabilize, because Congo has the longest ongoing, war. And this war did not start yesterday in 1994. This conflict and destabilization and lack of peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo started way back in 1884 during the division of Congo, the division of the African continent into partitions. So there's a lot of people who are responsible for the conflict that is going on in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So we want to thank the government in Kenya for the great work. We want to thank the African Union for the great work being done to stabilize Ethiopia, but it needs to do more, because we have the capable men and women. We have them on the African continent. So let us use them to stabilize all of our continent, all of our African continent. Let us use them to stabilize all of Africa, or all of Africa, as we want to build a new Africa that is prosperous and built by Africans. So thank you very much. On the other side, also we will come to Ghana once more. In Ghana, a lot has been happening. We remember that on the sidelines of the US Africa Summit, there is something which happened really that hyped up, raised the temperatures within the West African region. It raised the temperatures within the African, the West African region, obviously. And Ghana, the president of Ghana, I would not like to say it is Ghana because the Ghanaian people may have a different perspective. They may have a different mind regarding this issue. So the Ghanaian people may have, you agree with me, have a different perspective on the issue that we are discussing. But the president of Ghana went ahead to go out there and during his bilateral meeting with the Secretary of State of the United States, went ahead to claim that Burkina Faso was hosting a group called the Wagner Group from Russia. And from his speaking, he said that he needs America's help. But he also mentioned himself, President Akufo-Addo, that the Wagner Group is there to help Burkina Faso, to stop the terrorist attacks from jihadists. And remember, the reason why a coup happened in Burkina Faso in the past is because of these terrorists, that the army felt that it was not given enough tools to fight the rebels, to fight these jihadists. And remember also that these jihadists did not come from nowhere. They came because the United States and its group and France all together, they worked together to overthrow the government in Libya. So we want that to be very clear. So if anybody is the right person to report this case to, we think that it is the African Union, and the African Union should be respected. And if President Akufo-Addo felt grieved about the issue and the way Burkina Faso, as a neighbor to Ghana, is handling this jihadist and terrorist group, I think that President Akufo-Addo had the right to present this issue, not to the Europeans and whoever is outside of Africa, but to the African Union and the ECOWAS. But if he does this, we believe that it is dangerous for the African continent. It is a disrespect to the African continent and the African people. It is a disrespect to the the African Union and the institutions of the African people. And it is even disrespect to the Ghana Armed Forces and himself as a president. We believe that he would be disrespecting himself, because he is the one who has been mentioning that we should not be begging as Africans. President Akufo-Addo has, even during his speech at the US Africa Summit, President Akufo-Addo mentioned that we should not be begging. Okay, we should stand and use our own resources. And if he turns around and starts begging, the Americans should be able to help him in things even which are not a threat to Ghana. I think this becomes questionable. It becomes a double talker. And we believe that President Akufo-Addo should be a good president, should be a real African statesman and stand on his feet, present the issue to the African Union, present the issue to ECOWAS, present the issue to SADC, present the issue to the East African community, and let us discuss these issues amongst ourselves. As we have mentioned, the African Union now has taken on a very strong role of stabilizing the continent. It has stabilized Ethiopia. When the Prime Minister Abiy in Ethiopia trusted the African Union was able to come and stabilize the country. Okay, the African Union was able to come and stabilize the country and play its role. So we believe that President Akufo-Addo too, he needs to trust his own institutions, but he also needs to trust the Africans. He needs to trust the Africans so that we can do our own thing as Africans. We can take care of our own, affairs. So we beg President Akufo-Addo, please, you need to go out there and trust the African Union and its ability, to solve our own affairs as Africans. And we believe that we can. We believe that we can as Africans. And so we see that Ghana, after all this backlash that happened, because Burkina Faso was able to, after getting angry at Akufo-Addo's comments, which he said that the Wagner group is there, so he's scared. I don't know whether he's a coward after he has, thousands and 10,000s of soldiers in the army, in the Ghana Armed Forces. I don't know how a president like him can be scared to call a few thousand American soldiers to come to Ghana as if they are better than the Ghana Armed Forces. I think this becomes a very big disrespect for the institutions of the African continent, if we are talking about building African institutions. So he had, to call the Americans to come and protect him. But the Burkina Faso and the president of Burkina Faso, President Traoré, was not happy. They immediately recalled their ambassador from Accra, and they summoned also the ambassador of the Ghanaian ambassador in Burkina Faso to explain Akufo-Addo's comments. So Ghana, this headline was saying that Ghana repairs rift with Burkina Faso after Wagner claims. Wagner claims, Burkina Faso, Ghana has sent its national security minister to Burkina Faso to repair a diplomatic rift after Ghana's president accused the Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, for hiring Russian mercenaries to fight militants, because it hired them to fight militants. It did not hire them to fight Ghana. So speaking at the US Africa Leaders Summit last week, President Akufo-Addo accused Burkina Faso of hiring mercenaries. I don't know what Akufo-Addo wants Burkina Faso to do about their own country, since they are a sovereign country. I don't know what he wants them to do, because Akufo-Addo has not offered any solutions to Burkina Faso apart from sanctions, which he has been advocating for. So which becomes on the other side, on one side, very unfortunate. And he also claimed that they have hired these mercenaries from Russia, the Wagner group, and they have given them revenue from a mine as payment. Burkina Faso's mines minister has denied the allegations. Researchers say several African countries, including Mali and the Central African Republic, have recruited soldiers from the Wagner group to fight insurgencies. They say Wagner, which is believed to have ties to Russia's President Vladimir Putin, is mostly motivated by the chance to enrich itself by securing lucrative natural resources. Ghana and Burkina Faso have generally had steady and positive diplomatic relationships, thanks to cooperation in agriculture, water, trade, transport, and security, which is a good thing. In the past, Ghana, Ghana and Burkina Faso have been, very, very, good friends. And this friendship, and we believe that it should continue. The friendship should rather continue instead of being, jeopardized and compromised by, unfounded, comments. So we plead with President Akufo-Addo and the president in Burkina Faso, President Traoré, to come together and amicably solve this problem. Africa is rising, and President Akufo-Addo should be able to understand this. And this means also that we have to be self-reliant. We have to be self-reliant in all affairs of our continent. So President Akufo-Addo, we beg you, stop sending our affairs as Africans outside of the continent. We have institutions on the continent, and these institutions should be used to solve our issues as Africans. And so that is the issue in Ghana, between Ghana and Burkina Faso. On the other side also we have Dangote oil refinery. We will go back to Nigeria. The Dangote oil refinery news has come up that it is almost at 97%. The refinery is currently at 97%, is almost complete. This refinery, which is going to produce up to 650,000 barrels per day of refined crude oil, to be able to help Nigeria to overcome the problem of importation. The refinery is almost complete, and people are saying that this refinery might be able to start operations in the next few months, and lo and behold, Nigeria will be saved a lot of revenue, currency, the dollar that has been the reserve currency that has been used in the past to import majority of the refined fuel that is being used in Nigeria. And this refinery actually is going to be important also for the West African region, because it will be able to supply enough. But let us not also forget that Nigeria already has 4 refineries which are owned by the state, but they are not working for some reason, because they have been sabotaged by certain groups, and especially we know that it is the politicians within the country. And so these refineries have not been able to work. 4 of them that are owned by the state. But we congratulate Mr. Aliko Dangote, who has invested, tremendously. Dangote has invested hugely across the African continent, and we want to say thank you, for this beautiful gesture, and for your work that you have done for the whole African continent. So we need to clap for Mr. Aliko Dangote, that has he has invested extensively across the continent. In Zambia, he has invested in Tanzania, he has invested in Ghana, he has invested in Nigeria, he has invested here, even in Cameroon. He wants to invest even in Kenya. So yeah, we want to thank Mr. Aliko Dangote for the good work that he is doing for our continent, because our continent needs to grow, and it needs to grow with indigenous investments, not always calling foreign investors, so-called foreign investors. We need to find a way of growing our own investors as Africans, of encouraging our own investors as Africans. And this is very, very important. This is extremely important for our continent. Africa is very important for our continent, Africa. So this is extremely important for our continent, Africa, that we have homegrown solutions. And this is what we are saying, that is the African solutions to African problems. We will go back to East Africa. In Kenya, the East African Court of Justice delivered a judgment on December 22nd. On December 2nd of 2020. The first instance of the East African Court of Justice, delivered a judgment and said that there's a trade which was reached between Kenya and the US, and it said that trade that was reached between the two countries. I'll come and elaborate on this situation in detail. But the trade which was reached between the United States and between Kenya and the United States was illegal according to the laws, the custom union, protocol of the East African community, according to the laws of the East African community, and it violated the East African community, and so it nullified and said that agreement was null and void. From its conclusion, the East African partner states should adhere to the negotiation and participation agreements under Article 37, 4 of the Customs Union Protocol in concluding trade agreements with foreign countries. Because the United States now becomes foreign to the East African community, because Kenya is part of the East African community. They have a customs union protocol that does not allow East African community countries to enter into trade agreements without the knowledge of member states. So this is the point. This is what this issue was about. This a commonly negotiated position on part of the East African community partner states strengthens trade in the common market and customs union territory, addressing how goods, for instance, wheat from a foreign country are imported into the community. Okay, on the final note, the regional court, the East African Court of Justice, expressed frustration in the failure to operationalize the East African Community Sanitary and Phytosanitary Protocol since it was adopted in 2012, with only the singular ratification by Kenya. While it remains in limbo, the court warned the delayed operationalization of the protocol could be a recipe for, recurrent litigation. So litigation, it means member states will be violating their own protocols and rules and laws which they have put up. The court said that this agreement jeopardizes the coordination of partner states, in economic policies through institutions of the community, and it undermines the aspirations of partner states to adopt common negotiating positions and promote participation. Because this is the point which we have been saying, that when we decide to find and to implement African solutions to African problems, we need to adhere to the laws and institutions. We should not be sending, we have the African Union, we have ECOWAS, we have EAC, we have SADC, we have Maghreb. We should not be taking our issues to the United States, because the United States has its own problems already. So we should respect our institutions. And what we are seeing is that some of the African heads of state and individual states within the community are violating their own protocols. They are violating their own protocols, and they expect the citizens to adhere to the laws within the country when they themselves are violating the country. We know that constitutions on the African continent are filled with laws that says, for example, a country should be protected by its own military, not foreign, not foreign countries. Okay, so this judgment also said that entering into agreements with foreign countries without partner states knowing, like the East African Community, ECOWAS, African Union, without them knowing, it undermines the presidency of the community organs. You see, this is what we have been talking about. It undermines the institutions. It undermines the institutions and laws on the implementation of the treaties. Okay, so we have agreed, ECOWAS has agreed on certain things. And if we enter into agreements with foreign, countries without the knowledge of our brothers and sisters, then it undermines, the laws and agreements which we have, agreed on. The laws and agreements which we have agreed on as Africans. Which becomes very, very unfortunate, and we don't want this to be happening to our continent. So thank you very much for today. This has been the weekly roundup of this week, the Christmas week. I want to say once again, congratulations to those who have reached almost the end of the year, and Merry Christmas to you all. Sign the petitions as indicated downwards in the description. My name is Kwame Gonza. The channel is called Africa Reimagined, and it is brought to you by Full Moon Holdings. They do a sale of electric cars in the West African region. If you want electric cars, reach out to the numbers. Even the website is there. They do engineering services, welding and fabrication, solar energy, and so on. They have an online shopping website, which is also indicated, and they also interpret movies, foreign movies, into the Twi language in Ghana. So reach out to there and call those numbers, reach out to the website, and you will be attended to. If you are in the West African region, reach out to the website and reach out to the numbers and call, and you will be served with dignity. You will be served with dignity. The fortunate thing about this presentation on YouTube is that you can rewind. If you want to write down the contact or the website and go to it, you can rewind and write it down. So I want to thank you once again. The channel is called Africa Remind. Share the channel. Don't keep this to yourself, and reach out to my sister. My sister's channel called Connect Africa, where we analyze everything on our continent. My sister is called Mallet. Type Connect Africa. Shout out to Mallet. Shout out to Hamila Aragawi. Also, shout out to all Pan-Africans and all organizations that are fighting for our continent. ADDI, Dr. Chombori, Piero Lumumba. Shout out to you, Piero Lumumba Foundation. Shout out to Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute. Shout out to All Africa People Revolutionary Party. Shout out to ZANU PF in Zimbabwe. Shout out to Pan-African Congress. Shout out to all organizations, Black Lives Matter, that are Africa, all organizations that are fighting for the liberation of the black man and the black people, and the dignity and respect and human rights of the black people all across the globe. Shout out to you, and let us to work together. Shout out to Sister Shanice. Shout out to Dr. Susan, Pan-African Daily TV. We greet you. We love you all. Thank you for the work you're doing. Shout out to Waldemar. Shout out to all of you that are doing great work for our continent, for the continent of Africa. We want to thank you, and let us continue to push the African cause, until our dignity has been restored as African people. Thank you very much. Africa must unite. Africa must unite. Africa must unite. Thank you very much.